there were homes that had water, more or less, you know. Well, I saw a fridge floating in a kitchen.
Well, that, and
basically.
Some people, and it's sad, have grown accustomed to this. In fact, the Minister of Works and Transport, Rohan Sinanan, along with the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Faris Sahrawi, they toured Bamboo number 2, settlement number 2 yesterday, with the operations manager of the ODPM, Major General Rodney Smart. And the reception they received from residents, well, put it this way, it was better if they just held a press conference. Well, you know, they always like to do a press conference. They don't say anything. But, hold on, before you go to that, the minister did confirm that Bamboo was under 10 feet of water. He confirmed that the pumps were not working because they were submerged.
This is Works and Transport?
No, this is local government.
Okay.
And residents simply were infuriated and really went after them. But there was one particular businessman who's also a very open source, I suppose. He speaks his mind quite openly on various platforms. Well, he also instigated that. So a lot is happening, but people of Toronto are frustrated and furious this morning.
Before I come back to Karen, though, there is a clip from the Minister of Local Government, just one snippet of one of these things he put out in the public domain that I think it's interesting. Honestly, it's only worth it for a good laugh. Let's get that short clip there for the viewers.
We're just asking people to take self-precaution and to push their positions with some common sense, please, as best as you can. If you see the waters rising around you, move your cars, move your structures, and let's get working together. Call us if you need.
Hold on, wait. Did he just say, if you see the water rising, move your cars and move your structures?
Yep.
Did Faris Sahrawi just say, if you see the water? First of all, here's the irony. Please be careful of your movement. But if you see water rising, move your cars and move your structures.
Well, I think the move your structures is the most ironic statement there. I don't know how to do that. He might have a truck that could lift his whole house and move it for him. I don't know about the rest of us. But Karen, with regards to solutions moving forward, because we've seen the flooding repeatedly over the last year. And I know that you were looking at Holland as a potential example. What is it that they're doing that we're really not doing? And to me, this is something where it might be expensive, it might be cheap, there might be cheap solutions, but shouldn't this be a priority to do something about this flooding? Because we can't hope that this is the worst we'll see for a while and it will never get as bad as this again. I don't think that's reasonable.
No, and just to put it in context, Holland has one thing you have to remember about Holland in the difference in the topography, which is a huge difference. More than 55% of Holland is under sea level.
Yep.
So that's not Trinidad. I mean, we're not in that same category. That's number one. Number two, not only do they have the sea to deal with, but they have two major rivers that pass through Holland, the River Rhine, and some call it Maas, maybe it's another pronunciation. So those are the two, they're fighting it with the rivers and they're fighting with the sea. So they have a huge problem. And we are not going to say that in fact, I understood in 1953, nearly 2,000 people died because of the flooding. So that was a wake-up call for them, I hope, in terms of really trying to deal with their water problem. So what is the answer? What I did find, and I searched and I searched and I searched, I could not find anywhere where the cause of flooding in Holland, in fact, by the way, I should just say, because of the measures they've taken, they've called it make room for the river, rather than fighting the river, make room for the river, work with the river. And what they have seen is the last huge flooding they had in Europe, which affected Belgium and Germany, and 222 people lost their lives. That was not the case in Holland, because they put in place the additional steps that had to be taken. Many of the steps, we already have those provisions for drainage. We shouldn't box drains, for desilting, for clearing of water courses, for building embankments, for creating natural, what they call places for the water to rest, so that you could actually create, I can't remember the actual word they use, dredging of the rivers, and all of these things I think the Drainage Division has that. But you know what the problem is in Trinidad, which I could not find in Holland? The problem I couldn't find in Holland, and which we have, unauthorized deforestation. Not that we don't have it, but unauthorized deforestation, unauthorized quarrying and excavation, which is a major cause of flooding, a lack of enforcement by the authorities, by town and country planning in terms of where people build. Is that a lot of times people build along the water courses. Maybe that's what the minister was talking about moving your houses away from the water courses. But all joking aside, they say you need to make room for the river rather than fighting the river. So the idea is where you have flat lands, which we have a lot in central Trinidad, which is the mostly affected by the flooding, is encourage people to move away from building near to water courses, go to more upland areas rather than say, because this would help. And also the drains. I think what I understood is rather than have large drains filled, it should have a number of undersized drains that go to a big drain and allow the water to flow. Right. But the key thing out of everything I have said, the key thing I'm saying is that they have problems much greater than ours, because more than half our country is not under sea level. We do not have the kind of sea and water flooding that they deal with, but they're able to manage it. And one of the major things is a human cause. And in Trinidad and Tobago, the human cause is the improper disposal, lack of town and country planning, enforcement or planning, and enforcement of the laws, unauthorized quarrying, and nothing is done about deforestation. So until we are ready to deal with those critical issues, we will be fighting a losing war, which Holland seems to have benefited because they seem to have the discipline. Oh, and they also have as a watchword, it is your public duty. This is what they tell them. It is your public duty to care for their physical environment, so that every Dutch person understands it's not your problem, it's all our problem. So what do we say? By the way, we had flooding in because somebody gave me the data, 2017 and 2018. So this is going to get worse because of climate change. What are you going to do? Are you going to pretend that you don't know the problem? You've got to desilt, you've got to do all these things, and you've got to enforce the law.
Well, I could imagine one of the things that probably might have to go on the table is the relocation of certain housing developments in flood-prone areas that also contribute to the flooding.
I would just simply point out that Karen did some research, shared all this information with us. Karen is not an individual at this point in time who is in government, yet Karen or any one of us is able. I like
you stop at the word yet.
That's why I said yet, and Karen and as well as us or any viewer could do their research, get this information. True. So when you have those in authority that are with their boots in the water, with all this disaster taking place, and you hear them stating that this is unprecedented levels of rainfalls. And you know, we've had 200% more rainfall for the month of November than we did last year. And we're trying to find solutions. We're determined to find solutions. And we're working on it. Oh, and here's the best part. We're waiting for the waters to recede so that we can figure out exactly what has happened. All right? Bear in mind, this is years now, and then you have a minister saying that this is the effects of urbanization. As you know, urbanization could take up to 16 years.
Yeah, urbanization does affect.
It does do that. It does affect.
But the government allows it.
But the point is, Karen,
it's man-made, as you pointed out.
Everything that you've just suggested also shows that if we have this knowledge and this information now, yet we allow these things to happen. I keep saying that it would have been better to hold this press conference on Friday. Please excuse me. It would have been better to hold this press conference on Friday rather than on Saturday when everything had already happened. So now you're trying to make it look as though you are working. Now you're trying to make it look as though you're trying to solve this. And the thing is...
Can I give an analogy to what you're saying?
What?
Also, too, the town and country should not allow houses higher than two floors to be built on the hillside. But can I make an analogy to what you're saying? The potholes. Potholes all over the country. You can go and have a shower in the potholes. You can have a pool in a pothole. That didn't just happen overnight. You close down Petrotrin, no bitumen, and then you're going to form a company to solve the problem that you created. So this is another example. You have seen the problem every year. You've seen impact. They give you what impact is. Loss of livestock, crops, damage, etc. You've seen it every year. It's nothing new. It just, and you know it's getting worse because climate control, thing has been on the front page for years now. So stop that. You're not enforcing the laws. You're not enforcing the laws, and you're allowing unauthorized quarrying, deforestation, and then turning around to pretend as you're trying to solve the problem. And I can't understand it.
And folks, the government did acknowledge illegal quarrying a couple of years ago. And
That's
as
good.
you saw, those fields in Caroni, some of those fields look agricultural, and that's more or less down the drain. But we have to take a break. When we come back, we're going to continue a discussion Karen I had started, I would say, last week. Hopefully we can get into more depth in it this week. Stay tuned. Karen Nessishera, Keita Shah, Sean Michael Small. We'll be right back.
Whether it's a room for 1, 2, 3 or more, there's a room waiting with the ocean view almost to your door. Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, the perfect getaway when you don't want to travel far. The Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, Crown Point, Tobago. Call 639-8571 for your reservation.
Your Christmas is safe with us at BCU. Police Credit Union. Police Credit Union. Your Christmas is safe with us at BCU. Police Credit Union. BCU. Police Credit Union.
Get an easy zero-interest Christmas loan at Police Credit Union today. Borrow up to $25,000 with affordable monthly payments. New members, you get up to $10,000. No interest, no installments until January. Apply online at www.policecreditunion.com. Loan subject to credit approval.
With society plagued by a host of issues, with debates surrounding our urgent concerns falling short, with questions of our future not always being answered.
The conversation continues. Join me, Kemuel Pascal, as the voice of the youth comes to life. We will confront the controversial topics of today's world to gain answers that are key for a better tomorrow. One and One with me, Kemuel Pascal. Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Only on WESN Content Capital.
Make every occasion a sparkling celebration with Rosabella alcohol-free wine.
Toast cheers with hourglass rings. Rosabella, live life with Rosabella sparkling drink. Celebrate!
Christmas coming, here is all around. Christmas back in town. Christmas coming, here is all around.
Christmas is coming, and your fingers know it.
Christmas back in town. Christmas back in town. Christmas back in town. Oh yeah, I can feel it. Christmas back in town.
For a finger-licking good Christmas. KFC.
Back in town.
On the next episode of Nicole Larson Live, living in victory every day.
You, and I've known you for so many years, you going for them. You know, it's only a
rescue
call.
mission.
You a rescue, you know, and da-da-da-da, and you're going. But I want to find out about that passion. Where did it come from?
Well, you know, I've thought about that a lot. I think it's a combination of my family upbringing and my faith.
We see sometimes that stillbirth or miscarriage might have higher rates of mental health complications, or abortion has higher rates of mental health complications.
Believe that whatever God allows has great potential to become your greatest win.
You are stronger than you know. So much stronger than you think.
No matter what they say, living in victory every day.
Nicole Lawson Live, living in victory every day. Every Sunday at 8 p.m. and Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. on WESN.
Welcome back to Talking Point, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, one of the things that we do try to keep our eye on is the global economic situation. We've spoken about trade, we've spoken about energy prices, and those things are now converging with the international diplomacy or politics of our region. Because, of course, a couple of years ago, one would not think that our neighbor Venezuela would be able to re-enter the good graces of the American government and the international community to some extent, to a lesser extent by and large. But now the politics of the globe is changing with regards to the conflict. Sides are being formed, lines are being drawn. And one of the unintended consequences, I guess you could say, is that the relations with Venezuela and major trade partners are becoming normalized, hopefully. And that means that our shared resources with Venezuela might soon become much more easily accessible. And that has a lot of implications for our economic fortunes. As much as we say diversification, in the short term, we do have to still try to maximize our revenue from the energy sector and the downstream industries. And perhaps there's room for growth there. Karen, this is a topic that is very important to you. You're the one that actually, with regards to this chapter, somewhat clued me in. I wasn't necessarily aware of what was happening within the recent weeks in our own backyard.
Yeah, it's a big development, I think. Actually, it's only happened a few days ago. It started, Newsweek has done a big article. But what's the importance of it? The importance, and I have been seeing this for some time on another site, so I would say that I did say, and now I'm seeing it happening. I said, from the time Biden came in and called Maduro President Maduro, and then he started saying that they could send oil to INAI in Italy and Repsol in Spain from Venezuela, the PDVSA, which Venezuela has the largest supply of oil in the world. From the time he started doing that, because of the Ukraine-Russia war, and because of what's going on in geopolitics, which we can't go into too much, but what we know is that this month, in November the 25th, I think, they had a meeting called the Mexico City Agreement, November the 22nd. And both the Venezuelans and the Mexicans met, and there was a mediator from, I can't remember the name of the mediator at this point, but the issue was in fact, Venezuelan government, they agreed to the UN to manage a fund to finance health, food, and education programs, while Biden agreed to ease some of the sanctions on the country to restart talks on both sides. The implementation of social protection measures for Venezuelan people, including a set of resources belonging to Venezuela, which has been frozen in international system, releasing it. And what also helped with that is a major swap. We probably don't realize that. But Venezuela freed 7 United States prisoners in exchange for the United States freeing 2 nephews of Maduro's wife, who are being held in America for drug-related offenses. So what you're seeing coming out in Newsweek has as a headline in October, changing tide of U.S.-Venezuelan relations. And what they're saying is America underestimated Maduro's staying power, and that the support that he would get from the military and the political elite. And what has brought everything to the forefront is the war with Russia and Ukraine, and what it's doing to Europe. And what is happening, yes, it's not working out so well for Europe, because for Russia, because yes, they're selling their oil to China and India instead. But the difference is this, that whereas before, when they could have sent it by, if they were sending it by ship, the voyage would take 6 or 7 days to reach to Rotterdam in Holland. Now, to reach India, for example, is taking 35 to 40 days. So the distance, so it's not working out that well for them. So now you have Qatar and Japan and all these countries coming into the picture, Mozambique coming in the picture. What is the Why am I saying all of what I have said? Which is very recent. We're talking about days. We're talking about. Why all these developments are important, and I have been saying that for quite a while. I genuinely believed that, and the Ukraine war has pushed the whole thing into a different thing, and all this talk about clean energy and clean all of that. Talk, it sounds good, but it ain't happening in a hurry, and they need the energy. You see that Dragonfield, do not be surprised if the United States and Biden decides that they will allow Shell to build that pipeline to send that natural gas from the Dragonfield to the Cassia. I think Cassia has been completed. I think the Cassia is the hub, and then send it downstream. And I want to say another thing when you talked about diversification. There is diversification in the petrochemical industry. You can go further and further and further down. You can produce what they call, what Mr. Mann used to call the polyethylene and polypropylene, which is really the plastics that we use to make what you call the chairs, and wicker chairs, instead of using the natural material. So it is going and create ingots. So we are diversifying for them. And the key that I'm trying to bring forward here is that if you have a regular supply of natural gas, because that is the feedstock for the downstream industry, and we are not going to be subject to the vagaries of the large international companies whose investors say get out when the price goes down. If we can have an assured supply of natural gas coming from the Dragonfield through that pipeline from thing, we can really see a renaissance in the downstream industry, and what that will mean for us, even in methanol. Did you see the Prime Minister talk about Proman and methanol, which I can't understand, but that's another different story, because they were supposed to hand over the Proman shares back to CL Financial, but that's another story. But they're talking blue hydrogen. It's hundreds of billions of dollars you're talking about. And I genuinely believe that you're going to soon find, and the Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, whoever is the one going to be dealing with this, are behind the scenes right now dealing with President Biden to ease up his position with regard to the building of that pipeline.
Well, we know that the Prime Minister has been doing that, but Keaton, it sounds almost as though we might potentially, if we play our cards right, get another windfall, energy boom, an opportunity to be a leader in the region and in certain aspects of the petrochemical industry.
Well, the cards are certainly playing in favor of the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, and his cabinet, and their continued push to build better relations with Venezuela, as well as actually a stance against U.S. sanctions. Not that they've tried to go directly against the sanctions, but they have spoken out against it. What is interesting is that the U.S. has now provided Chevron with limited authorization to pump oil out of Venezuela, which is rather interesting. And they've stated that that it's on the basis that the government in Venezuela and the opposition in Venezuela have actually reached a deal at a humanitarian level, and there is going to be... I know, Karen, I know. This is, bear in mind, I'm taking this news from CNN out of all places. This is where I'm basically giving you information from. And essentially, there's going to be greater focus and scrutiny on the 2024 election in Venezuela. Again, nothing, But this is the interesting part. We know that given the world's energy crisis, which is taking place right now, I mean, Germany has managed to survive. The real test is about to come across Europe, and even with Ukraine, now that winter is about to hit, we know that you have to try and build relationships of which you didn't have before. You have to extract as much natural resources in places of which you didn't want to before. And given that Venezuela, I think, has the world's largest reserves of natural gas
and oil,
don't be surprised if you see more of this happening. And Trinidad could be a part of this game as well, this equation.
I think it's important for people to understand that the geopolitics, it's not just Russia and Ukraine. Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince has been given more and more authority. He's now the Prime Minister. His father stepped down from that role some time ago. There's already controversy of the journalist that was killed, I believe, in the embassy in Turkey.
Yes, but just bear in mind on that point, Sean. I think 2 weeks ago he was granted immunity from being prosecuted in the United States.
But there's also signs that he is looking to become more and more of a diplomatic and political ally of Russia. At some point, he was even looking to switch their arms, their defense spending. They would be spending a lot on United States weapons and equipment, and they were looking to switch it to Russian weapon equipment. Now, after the war, I don't know if that's going to stand. But the political lines, even within the Middle East now, are being affected, the diplomatic relations of countries. And again, this is Venezuela's opportunity. Obviously, Guyana already knew that they have an opportunity. We're kind of the little guy in the middle now, but we have infrastructure. So the question is now, do we really go all in, not just on our own industry, and trying to, as Karen said, the value chain go downstream, right, with the more finished goods, but also with regards to the fact that, hey, we have LNG plants. That infrastructure is a lot more expensive than just to have a pipeline.
But as
we could get our own version and potentially of Nord Stream to turn it on.
But can I just say this, please? I have to say this. It's one of the major issues now facing the world, and that includes America. It's not only the supply chain issue, but it's the lack of fertilizers. And natural gas is the feedstock for the production of fertilizers, which is an issue for a lot of the African countries, which Russia has been helping out by sending the grain to the African countries. So what you are looking at, let us face reality. Biden is facing reality. With all of that talk, what is happening is they need the new green energy has not emerged. And as we speak, Europe is still largely dependent on Russia for the import of its natural gas, no matter what they are saying to the country. They're still in that position.
And as much as we've just spoken about Trinidad and Tobago has infrastructure, again, I steal a term from a certain minister. We have aging infrastructure. And however you like to look at it, the point I'm trying to make is we want to be a player in this game. We want to benefit from it. Do we now have the necessary infrastructure to handle the capacity of what we're hoping to achieve?
I think if we manage what we have well, it may be cheaper in some instances to just pipe the natural gas to us, to our facilities, to turn into liquefied natural gas, because they will have so much natural gas to sell.
Forgive me for being a
pessimist. Can I just say, because
I
feel very strongly on the issue, can I just say something?
I'm not talking about our gas, Karen. I'm talking about...
No, but I have to put, because for your viewers, it's not the aging infrastructure, which, by the way, we've had people like Kevin Ramnarine, former Minister of Energy. How do you think Nikan was able to set up their business so quickly? Because they built their plant on non-aging infrastructure. It's not the infrastructure, it's the knowledge we have. We have knowledge from people, Professor Julian, that we are in a knowledge economy. We have knowledge that our people are going to Guyana in droves to give them the energy, going to Ghana, going to Africa. And that is something that we have when you do a SWOT analysis, is a benefit we have. I am just saying to you, we have to go, as I say, diversification. All I'm saying, that this news that I just read with Mexican deal, if I was a betting person and I own stocks and shares, I will look at that and know that it is the beginning of America recognizing the importance of Venezuela as a player. And guess who's going to benefit? We are going to benefit. And I just will say, in fairness to Dr. Rowley, please let me just say this. When they were putting pressure, you would be surprised. He'd be surprised. Maybe he'd have something good to say about me. When they were trying to put pressure on him to recognize the Venezuelans as refugees, he refused to do that. Do you know why? Because a refugee is someone escaping political persecution, and he refused to do that. Right now, Colombia has opened up its border to Venezuela. So a lot of the Venezuelans can go back home. The world is changing as we speak.
Karen, fair point. We have to take a break and bear in mind, yes, you mentioned that we have knowledge, but as much as we have knowledge, we have not been able to manage things very well. And, you can say that I'm being a pessimist, or you may argue I'm being a realist. The mere fact is, okay, we have the knowledge, we have the expertise, and we have the experience. Quite frankly, have we managed things well? So that's something that we have to look out for. As much as we have knowledge, we don't have management. And I will make an argument for that. You can't have one or the other, you have to have both. So let's take a quick break here on the program, and when we return, we'll continue the conversation.
AM Prime on WESN, the only place from 6 to 7:30 a.m. where you can get the most analytical and thorough interviews and regional reports.
The Barbados Labour Party, led by the Prime Minister Mia Motley, once again able to achieve a clean sweep in yesterday's general election.
I think a lot of people have underestimated the power of Tobago nationalism.
If the government is afraid to say it, I, Martin George, I am saying it this morning on your show, Andy, there will be no carnival before Ash Wednesday.
Grab a cup of coffee and start your day right watching AM Prime with Andy Johnson weekdays from 6 a.m. Only on your content capital, WESN.
Transform your house into a home at the Home and Heart Store. Get high quality, affordable household goods and accessories. We also carry a range of gift items. Birthday, anniversary, or special occasion? Come in and let us help you choose the perfect present for your loved ones. The Home and Heart Store, open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Saturday. 128 Golconda Village, Sapero Road, San Fernando. Call us at 610-8424 for more information. All new normal procedures followed.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Whether it's your family meet and eat or your own personal getaway retreat, a business trip accommodation or a couple's celebration, the Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa has room for you. There's always sumptuous, delicious cuisine and the gym and tennis court for a good workout routine. Then relax by the pool or on the private beach, or just head to the spa. It's also within reach. The Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, Tobago's best beach resort. For reservations, call 639-8571 or check our website.
Your Christmas is safe with us at BCU. Police Credit Union. Police Credit Union. Your Christmas is safe with us at BCU. Police Credit Union. BCU. Police Credit Union.
Get an easy zero-interest Christmas loan at Police Credit Union today. Borrow up to $25,000 with affordable monthly payments. New members, you get up to $10,000. No interest, no installments until January. Apply online at www.policecreditunion.com. Loan subject to credit approval.
Make every occasion a sparkling celebration with Rosabella alcohol-free wine.
Toast cheers with hourglass rays. Rosabella, live life with Rosabella sparkling drink. Celebrate!
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing on it.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Ball?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
Well, folks, I did promise that we had a conversation we started last week that we will continue this week. And as far as I am aware, they made a toll as of yesterday. I believe late yesterday, actually, it hit as high as 558. So we are seeing new levels of violent crime, some of which I don't think we acknowledged. No, did we acknowledge yesterday the unfortunate passing of the owner of Dobson's Rolly Shop,
Yes,
which is
yes.
right around the corner from by us? It's a hell of a thing. At the end of the day, we need to understand, it seems so simple, it's just a number going up, but these are lives being lost. And with regards to crime now, we got into a little debate with our callers last week on the source of crime, and I think Keaton wasn't here for that conversation. It goes back to, I believe, what Karen was talking about and the words of one of the other, you could say, experienced figures in our political sphere. With regards to our crime situation, the amount of illegal money, particularly in drugs, and that money then affords a lot of influence. And we have a bureaucracy that is more than willing, it seems, to be influenced. And now, I guess the question is, to what extent our fortune, to some extent, is dependent on the foreign trade and the winds of what's going on in the wider world. Some of it is just not under our control. And perhaps now we need to realize that things are so bad, the whole idea about us doing it on our own might really be obsolete at this point. And we might really need to consider significant help from abroad, asking for it, in order to try to get this situation from devolving any further.
Yes, so because we had spoken about it last week, I won't regurgitate a lot of it. What I want to focus on is what are the solutions that have been put forward and have been implemented. Because one of the things I want to look at is you can tell me a solution, but does it work? So there's something called the CARICOM Impact. Impact stands for, just look at it, Implementation Agency for Crime and Security. And it's an agreement with Interpol. And it is based in Barbados as of September 2021. But this is the thing. They carried out, I don't know what you call it, they carried out, the word is escaping me, but between the 24th and the 30th, an operation.
Yes.
And this is what the Interpol General Secretary Jürgen Stocks had to say. This is not Karen Teixeira. He said, this just shows how firearms are clearly enable most types of crimes. When we go after weapons, we go after most kinds of crimes and the full range of activities carried out by organized crime. And when they did this, what they call Trigger 7, Operation Trigger 7, between this year, only September, the end of September, what they got out of it with working with Interpol, 510 drug-related arrests, seizure of 10.1 tons of cocaine, seizure of 2.5 tons of cannabis, seizure of 350 weapons, seizure of 3,300 rounds, this is in 1 week, 3,300 rounds of ammunition. And for example, they said in Jamaica, they intercepted 500.2 kilograms of cocaine, which is boarded for Canada by a private plane worth over US $25 million. And what they were doing, they were searching warehouses, shooting ranges, and private security firms. So one of the recommendations that Timothy Hammersmith, so sometimes you have to hear from a different messenger, he has said, and gone on record, the root cause of crime in this country from day one, he said, has been, root cause is the drug trade, the transshipment of cocaine, and the guns. He says the leaders are no longer, I'm using his words, leaders are no longer in charge. It is the people who are running the drugs and guns. Unless we understand the root cause of crime, we cannot find a solution. So that is why he said we need external intervention. So one of them, which we already have in place, is the CARICOM Impact Agreement with Interpol. And it was signed, I think, in 2006, but they set up an office, or what it's called, in Barbados last year. In addition, he mentioned the shipwrighter agreement, which went by the wayside. And he quoted, I think I said it last week too, that former Prime Minister said, you talking about sovereignty, but you prefer the drug lords to have sovereignty over you. So what he is saying is, another thing he had recommended, I'm giving his recommendation, he said the guns, he said people rent out guns. These firearms are rented out. But if you have an ID attached to a gun, you will be able to know whose gun that is because it has an identification attached to it. He also attributed it to the, and this is what we all know, the procurement legislation, the fact of lack of campaign finance legislation. He says once they are, he says, make no mistake, once they are in charge, they are running the country, not the politician. That's what he had to say. He says, how many of us have heard the story of Coast Guards being told to stand down? We do not have functional OPs, etc. We know all the whole story. So the point I'm making is that it is the view of Timothy Hammersmith, a former president of this country, and obviously the view of Interpol General Jürgen Stock from Interpol. It is the view of the United States that the true cause of our crime in this root cause is the transshipment of cocaine and guns. And until we go to the root cause of this crime in this country, we will continue to hear what we hear every year from the politicians.
Well, Keaton, so, okay, with the money from the cocaine, of course, because Timothy also mentioned procurement and campaign financing. So corruption is...
You mentioned it, yes.
Yes, so corruption, of course, is obviously, that's the missing link as to why we seem to be unable to deal with it ourselves. Do you want to see foreign intervention? How much do you think we need? Do we need more?
Perhaps we need it, but we will not accept it. And that is key. I mean, you've mentioned simple facts like procurement and campaign reform, campaign financing reform, which is, by the way, that's been on the books for years. And nothing's ever done. I think the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, in his last campaign election, also mentioned that, and nothing ever came out of it. And the simple question I will ask, which might be obvious to some, is why do you think that we seem to have all the answers, we seem to know what the cause is, and yet we're never able to prosecute or point fingers at anybody for doing it? And we have not had the necessary reforms. Why do you think? I don't have to state the answer. I think it's obvious. And also, just to wrap up my point on this entire issue, because I feel like it's so blatant. Let me repeat a point I made, I think it was last week or the week before. To me, Trinidad is the most transparent nation in the entire world. Because everybody know who and what. And everybody know who doing what they doing. Everybody, we all know Trinidad's such a small place. It's so transparent. Everybody know who involved in what. And yet still, here we are this morning having to have this conversation and debate. So as much as we will need foreign intervention, as much as it will be beneficial for foreign intervention, we will never accept it.
Well, is it that the politicians or the leaders...
Keaton, we are doing it. We are doing it because the success of the Operation Trigger 87 was done by virtue of a CARICOM impacts agreement with Interpol. So it was not Interpol coming here, and they signed off. I saw the agreement. So it was not a situation. So what you will say is that you can't have people will come up with sovereignty. And the more people talk about sovereignty issues, the more you know why they're saying it. But if you are doing it and signing an agreement with the CARICOM heads of government, and they are agreeing, as Barbados has done, as we have done in that agreement, then it will not be them coming in, but we asking for their help.
Well,
Karen, I look forward to seeing the results of signing that particular agreement.
It was signed in 2000. I just told you.
I know.
September 24th and 30th. I gave you the
I know,
the figures.
Karen.
I have to wrap up this segment. I just want to add my 2 cents quick, and basically, I think the politicians will do as much as the people, the voters, demand of them, right? That is ultimately what it is, and that's just basic democratic election politics. So I would just like to say, folks, I am starting to feel a little bit panicky with regards to our murder rate and where it might lead.
Starting to?
Because we're in new territory, so it's a new level of panic, Ethan. And I think this is definitely something that we need to peacefully let our voices be heard so that there is no mistake. Otherwise,
they're not taking you on. They're not taking you on. You don't see they're not taking you on?
Folks, I mean,
are they taking you on?
She said it best right there. Let's take a break now, of course. When we come back, we will open up the phone lines. We will take you on. You could call in and tell us what you have to think. Do you care about our sovereignty, or do you care more about our crime situation? Or perhaps those two things don't have to be mutually exclusive. Well, I'm just doing that because people might want to make it out that way. But we will go into that after the break. Stay tuned. Okay. Karen, hold on. Folks, sorry, we seem to be having some technical difficulties, but the conversation will continue in the meantime. Karen, of course, was now looking to make the point of not trying to equate sovereignty with regards to as the opposite alternative to getting help with regards to a crime situation. And I believe Karen is absolutely correct. In other issues, I have brought it up. I don't think it has to be an either or. I do believe that a lot of people will want to make it out, including the man on the street. There's something about just adults in general, anywhere around the world, where if it seems as though we're giving up something, then for whatever reason we perceive it that we are admitting we are less than.
Do you know the EU does it? Do you know the EU has it? Do you know the EU has an arrangement among themselves to look at their maritime border? Isn't each country in Europe doing that? We're not giving it up. We're working with.
By the way, could we just explain sovereignty to some people who might not really understand? Because I don't want to get into the tenets of sovereignty.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into all the details, but the basic definition of sovereignty is the ability for a state to govern itself.
Right.
That's the basic understanding. Right. So supreme power authority, and it details the hierarchy of a state and how it is able to govern itself.
The irony is we're not looking to say we're going to give up our law enforcement to somebody else.
Not at all.
No.
But
the flip side is there are still the flip side to that is there are still some people who think we might have been better off as a colony.
Let me ask a question, because Karen, you said we're doing it. Okay, we're doing it. Again, all well and good. Could Trinidad and Tobago and would the people of Trinidad and Tobago be accepting or reception to anybody or any entity that the government tries to work with, foreign entity, to deal with the crime situation in Trinidad?
But they have accepted it right now. I just gave you the example.
Karen, I know you gave the example. I know you gave the date. This is the government having an agreement with CARICOM. I'm not arguing for that right now. I understand that, and I'll tell you why I understand it after this break.
Okay.
This is your WESN News on the Hour. My name is Sean Michael Small. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Flooding reported along the highway. Opposition MP says businesses badly affected by Manzanilla Mayaro Road collapse. Double murder in Port of Spain. Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Social and Welfare Association concerned with process for selection of top cop. And internationally, Landslides in Cameroon kill 14. Now for the details. As the nation continues to reel from the adverse weather over the last few days, several communities remain marooned at this time. Meanwhile, flooding was also reported along the highway. The leftmost lane of the southbound Uriah Butler Highway, the shoulder, and the on-ramp from the Caroni flyover were covered in floodwaters on Tuesday afternoon. The Uriah Butler Highway remained passable, but traffic backed up in both directions. Opposition MP Rushton Paré says he was given the assurance by the Minister of Works and Transport that the affected Manzanilla Road will be repaired in the coming weeks.
When I spoke to Minister Sinanan last week, he told me that he expects, based on his engineering information, that we can have a quick fix solution in about 2 weeks to get back activity back in on that road. But he has to wait until the water subsides. I don't know when that is going to happen based on this increase in volume right now. So it's going to pose a bit of problems. But he said within 2 weeks from the time he can get started on the roadway, we should have something in around 14 days.
He said these events will hamper end-of-year business, especially just weeks before the Christmas holiday.
And you have the residents having to spend money that may have been put forward to, their Christmas and so on in terms of their painting and decorating. These things have to go back into buy beds and mattresses and school books, uniforms. It is going to put a lot of pressure on our constituents coming into the end of the year.
Police Social Welfare Association President Gideon Dixon is expressing concern with the process for the selection of a substantive commissioner of police.
We are deeply concerned with the rigors and the scrutiny and the efforts to interfere with the upper echelon management of the organization, which has a ricochet effect on the moral of the officers down beneath who have to do the operation as independent as we think we're independent as the police service. It also shows that we're not independent. Those things need to be addressed. We could do better than that. It's a body that was put in place to do a job, and just like they have it with the Teaching Service Commission and the Public Service Commission, you ought to let the Police Service Commission do their job. That's the job they were getting paid for.
As the murder toll continues to rise past record figures of 550, 2 more men were gunned down on Tuesday. The men have not yet been identified up to news time. Reports say that just before noon, the men were gunned down at Sapodilla Trace, Belmont. These killings took the murder toll for the year thus far to 558. Internationally, a landslide in Cameroon's capital Yaoundé on Sunday killed at least 14 people who were attending a funeral, the region's governor said. Dozens of people were attending a funeral on a soccer pitch at the base of a 20-meter-high soil embankment, which collapsed on top of them, witnesses told Reuters. Well, that's news on the hour on WESN. I'm Sean Michael Small. Thanks for watching. Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Welcome back to Talking Point here on WSN, and thank you very much, should I say, to WSN's Head of News, Denise Sinclair, as well as Marquis Akers, and my co-host and colleague alongside me starring in the news these days. Anyway,
I wondered about that.
Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's open up the phone lines.
Overexposed.
Overexposed. Yeah, right, sure. When you see your face on television, I know you smile.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Anyway, folks, let's open up the phone lines now where you, the viewers, can call in and contribute to the conversation. Feel free to ask us questions, debate points with us. We just ask that you be respectful of other viewers' opinions, our opinions, as well as time. Well, we have a caller on the line with us from Digo Martin. Good morning, caller.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thanks.
Good morning.
I'm all depleted now because recently we had Scotland, Kudjo and Heinz and all of them insulting the population. Now we have Paris all slick in tight clothes and Mr. Unprecedented saying every time it rains there's flooding or pumps aren't working. Now he's saying pumps are underwater, and when people told him that before, he never believed. You know, he's now talking about illegal quarrying and construction when the government, the EMA, town and country, they've all enabled this for decades. Nothing is new except volume and time, but I just want to give you a little bit of history. When Father Anthony Devotai wrote about the sugar estates, he said it was more or less completely submerged during rainy season to such an extent it would preclude communication across. From as far back as 1886, another Devotai wrote, during the wet season after heavy rains, Caroni and its effluents overflow their banks, inundating the country for many hours. But at that time there were railways and sugar, so the engineering departments got together, did some work in 1897, completed it in 1898. And to the credit of the engineering department, it was carried out without disruptions. 10 to 14 trains were still able to pass, and Mr. Horace Marwood was the engineer at the time. I saw an engineer at UE recently received an award for outstanding work. NASA was able to divert an asteroid from hitting Earth. This is 2022. Where are engineers and planners? Thanks. Bye-bye.
Good point, caller. Thank you very much for your contribution.
And I think
always well researched.
Very much so.
I think there is to some extent when the politicians say, well, there's extraordinary rain. Is it really extraordinary rain?
It's unprecedented, Sean.
Is it really unprecedented? Or is it, okay, yes, it might be unprecedented, but unprecedented is not doesn't actually give us context of how unprecedented it really is. More importantly, I think it just exposed how unprepared we are, regardless of if it's unprecedented or not.
No, we unprepared or unprepared? Yeah. Also, by the way,
all of the above.
On Monday, according to the Minister of Works and Transport, the pumps were working. Yesterday, I mean, the floods were worse on Monday, don't get me wrong. And yesterday, he learned for himself by people on the ground, residents affected in areas by flooding, that the pumps were not working, Honorable Minister.
But when you see the level of flooding, to me, a pump is not really, I mean, what kind of pump are we talking about here? Right? Is this a pump off the back of a truck? Like they are, when people's homes, when they're in chest-high water, and basically everything that is in their kitchen cupboards, right, below their counter is more or less gone because it's ruined. And most of their furniture is floating about 4 feet off of the ground because the water is so high. Pumps is, I don't think that's gonna cut it, nowhere near fast enough. To me, a channel, a waterway, a canal, a dry river, or something. At some point, this is not rocket science. You cut a ditch. We have, an engineering battalion. We have a Coast Guard that Lord knows what they do besides shooting at boats with illegal immigrants with babies in it, or letting drugs come through. Like, what is going on? It's not just the engineers.
It's just, listen, we have another call in line, but it's not as simple as that. But I can assure you, we are looking for solutions, and when the water levels reside, then we will try to see exactly what.
Listen, Faris, I can't pick up my house and run with it, okay?
We have a caller on the line with us from Petit Valley. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sean and Keaton, and morning, Karen T.
Good morning.
Nunez.
Morning.
Karen T. Nunez, I want to give you credit of being in front of the geopolitics, what is taking place right now in America, Venezuela, and Trinidad. I must say you was in front of it, and now the chicken is coming to roost, exactly what you said. But I have to say one thing, and I want you to answer me, and what was your opinion on the opposition at the time was saying that Trinidad, our government, mustn't have no talks with the legit government of Venezuela, Mr. Oduro. Even when they sent a representative here in a meeting, and we took the meeting, the UNC make a whole hullabaloo on it. Even right, the American embassy saying we might be sanctioned. Miss Karen, you have to be careful in politics, right? Even though the UNC get in power anytime soon, that same deal, if wouldn't benefit the country, so I'll be careful in politics. And
I'll answer you very quickly. I'll answer you very quickly. I'll answer you very quickly. I did not. I supported the Prime Minister, and I wrote about it that I did not agree that we should take that hardline against Venezuela, because I did not think that Maduro was not as popular as the government, as the United States wanted to make him out to be, and time has proven that to be true. I also agreed with him not taking the refugee position because he understood what they were trying to do with him. What I did not agree with is allowing the vice president to come into the country during a COVID and telling us that she was here to talk about COVID. Nobody believed her. And that was not, that's not a good thing, because that does not, that's the problem with the government, a lack of transparent accountability. But in relation to how they dealt with Venezuela, I was never against what they did. I did not go against them, and I actually wrote about it. And I said time will tell, and I was pretty confident that at the end of the day, I didn't expect the Ukraine war, but I felt that it was going to work out to our benefit.
Can I tell you something this morning, Miss Nuez?
Quick.
If I was a member of the PNM to vote, you would have got my vote. You know why? You are level-headed. You are very level-headed. And you as a person could run this country. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Kola, for your contribution.
Thank you, Paul.
Call on the line with us from San Fernando. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
You see that comment that last comment that caller from Pity Valley make? Karen going to get some more pressure from Mr. Rowley for this weekend.
Karen needs to get some more
some more pressure from Dr. Rowley.
Put it this way, Karen, we're giving you a heads up. No, he's giving you a heads up. The PNM Women's League will be writing a letter about you very soon, given the last comment from the caller from Pity Valley.
Yes,
and I won't be reading it.
You know,
sorry, caller from San Fernando.
Yeah, no problem, Mr. Shara. Yeah,
yes.
When I looked at the geopolitics you spoke about, one of the things that fascinated me was that, I'm going back, that with Venezuela, is that Shell bought out those assets from those are the old Chevron assets in Trinidad. That Warren Manatee, and they bought both sides in Venezuela and Trinidad. And Chevron never pulled out. When all those companies pulled out of Venezuela, Chevron never pulled out. In addition to which, and I'm moving it forward, when I saw Amy Brown recently condemn Russia, that is not something that we normally do, eh?
Yeah.
But Amy Brown came out publicly.
I can answer your first question quickly. Chevron was never left and was never asked to leave, because America still did all that what was going on. If you go back, you will see that America was getting oil from from Venezuela through Chevron, so they were allowed to operate as far as I can see. And if they are condemning Russia, it's probably new geopolitics. You know, we know what we know.
Yeah, but I'm saying after Amy Brown did that, and then we had the EU delegation that was here recently. I just looked at the chessboard and saying, yes, we are going to benefit from this. And last thing, Keaton said something there, Keaton, which I disagree with.
Sure.
When Karen talked about we having the knowledge base, which everybody wants. I think you're conflating that knowledge base with our politics and what the politicians do. That is business, and we are one of the forefront countries in the world with respect to natural gas knowledge.
For sure,
they want it.
For sure, and Professor Julian is like a czar in that area. No question about that.
Thank you, caller from San Fernando. And no, I understand what you're saying, where you're coming from. And Karen and I had a little conversation about that off air. So I understand. I understand. I still have my opinions, but I completely understand where you're coming from. So thank you very much. Caller on the line with us. Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Hi, good morning. You're live.
All right. I just have a little concern here. I have to go south over the highway, Chanka Trace. We have this flooding over month the water in the road. Now this big flood come make it worse. We have water in our house for 5 feet of water. Nobody don't even recognizing one area in Bamboo. But they're not recognizing some Elsco South. Elsco South is drowned in. We need assistance here. No one coming here to help. No one even recognizing over the highway. And over the highway, over a month, the water is on the road. Now the water is in your house. Now 6 feet of water in your kitchen, in your house. Oh, and no one. You see, Nanan and the ministers and all them going one place, and they say, over the highway, no pump walking, the pump, just one little pump walking, and over a month, if the water is over a month, this water was pulling the road and never be like this. No one not seen over the highway.
And that could cause cholera.
Yes.
Cholera and all kind of other diseases.
Caller,
Yes, we both have to take out both to get you out.
Yeah. Caller,
and nobody not seen anything.
Thank you very much.
The minister coming up, the MP for the area here, but he bled in for this, fix the pump and in the pump.
Have they given you any?
And he coming in TV and saying the pump is working, and it's not working. Only one little pump working, and the area is so big that water, one pump cannot pull all this water.
Yes. All right, caller.
Because over a month we suffering here. Over a month, 2 days, everybody water going now. We water rising.
It could cause a lot of sickness, mosquitoes.
Thank you very much, caller.
Thank you, caller.
For giving us that. I would just say I do know some people on the ground, and I do know the operations taking place on the ground, and I will contact them this morning and inform them there. Hopefully we can get some assistance to that area.
The only other thing in response is to repeat what you said. I think 2 things that we need desperately in this country: a transportation plan, policy, national, and a policy with regards now to deal with this sort of situation.
Yeah. So,
how about enforcement of it?
Well, that's all included, and I'm sure we'll hear that from our next caller.
Like I said, caller, as I said, there's operations taking place, and we'll try and get some assistance to the people of El Socorro South this morning. Caller online with us from Chagones. Good morning.
Good day, gentlemen.
Good morning.
This morning, we had the Minister of Work saying that the bulk of the flooding in Bamboo was because of somebody interfered with a riverbank. What is amazing, you hear nothing about what he is going to do about this. And that is the crux of our problem. We see it there, we know what is the solution, it's your responsibility, and you do nothing. That is why I hope at the end Karen win this thing and get rid of jokers like that in government. Thank you, gentlemen. Unless you have a question, Rachi.
No.
Can you all allow me to please say something, because it is important. When you go to vote, whoever you vote for, do not go into the ballot box with the number that they put on it, because that number should not be on your ballot pamphlet, because it will allow them to know who you voted for. And we've had a press conference yesterday to bring to the public's attention that when you go and come to vote and the electoral clerk takes your name in consecutive order, she puts the numbers so they will know at the end of the day how many people voted. But in addition, she puts the number on your pamphlet. So when you go into that box, Keaton, when you go, that's our democracy. When you go into the box, Keaton, and they open the box on December the 4th, they will be able to know who it is, because that electoral list is given to Mr. Roberts. And that is why your Prime Minister could say to the public at the time when I have to say this for the people, I have to say this. That is why our Prime Minister could say to the country that I'm looking very carefully at who you decide, if you decide to give your support to me. I couldn't understand how he could say that, because I don't know how he could know how, but now I know. So do not go into the voting box with a number on that pamphlet. That's all I'm saying.
I have never heard in any election a ballot paper having a number on it. I've
but you
never
see,
heard of that.
but can I just say, because you please, because I'm on WSN and I'm not doing this to me, I'm doing this because I don't know who people will vote for. But what will happen in the EBC, which is what they model their electoral process on, they're not bound by it, but they model it on it. When you come as number 24, Keaton. They will look to see, are you a registered member of the PNM? Yes, you're a registered member. They take a red line as they do in the EBC, draw a red line, and you came in as number 20, they will record number 20, because at the end of the day, when they tally it and they give it to the election supervisory head, which is Mr. Roberts, not the EBC, he will know the number 20 is Keaton Shah. But what they do now is they give you a pamphlet, because remember, it's not more than one person you're voting for.
Yeah.
And then they put that number 20, on your pamphlet. So when you go to vote, and you put it in the box thinking nobody knows who you're voting for, when they open up the box, they will know the number 20
is that
you, Keaton Shah, voted for whoever you voted for. So that is why the Prime Minister, in my respectful opinion, could say what he said.
Is that number, because I know that they're not bound by the rules of the EBC.
No, they're not.
But is that number stamped, printed, or written?
No, it's written at the same time, because
and this is the thing.
They can't write it, and they can't write it until you come there.
So if somebody has written on your ballot paper, as far as I'm aware, your ballot paper has become null and void.
Well,
No, because this is an unincorporated society. If you belong to a cricket club or football, you can't tell them how to run their business. All I'm saying is, do not go in to the ballot box with that number on it, because they will be able to know who it is and who you voted for.
The question is, now, will they say, well, you can't vote without us doing so?
But this is why I said, right? Because again, please don't confuse me. I know it's unincorporated. But this is why I said it becomes null and void. You are to request. I think in my advice, you request from them, can I have another ballot paper, please? Because you're right.
It doesn't they can't give you another ballot paper.
I know, but Karen, the point is, the mere fact that we can point out this detail, in other words, you have to stand up somehow. I'm trying to look at every avenue.
This is what I'm trying to do right now.
No. I'm trying to look at every avenue as well, because the mere fact is, you are a member of a political party, and you go to do what you are allowed to do, what you should do as a member of a political organization, which is to cast your ballot. And they are basically recording every detail. There's no secret ballot. There's no secret ballot at all.
It is not. So when they go on December the 4th, right, and they say in division so-and-so, number 20, a vote for Dr. Keith Rowley, or number 20 for Karen Renner, you know what they know? They know who you voted for. So when you said before, don't worry, boss man, or whatever, or Karen, don't worry, Karen, I'm going to vote for you. But I will now know, not me, they will know, because they have complete control and custody over that electoral list. So they will know who you voted for. And if the Prime Minister said, I will looking very closely at what they're doing, what you looking closely at? And first of all, how you have the ability to do it? And what are you doing with that information?
The potential for intimidation. You cannot say that the potential does not exist. And people need to understand, in free democracies, perception and potential matter, because then you could no longer say, look, we are free and clear and transparent, and everything is above board and everything is done properly, and everybody is free to make their own decision, and it's true a democracy. It might be, but you have no way.
With your thing, there's no number on it.
Yes.
There's no number on it, because it's completely anonymous.
So I would just like to point out, because this we all have different issues that we've tackled, and we're seeing now when they are not being met. And for Karen, it was some of the stuff we mentioned earlier today, same thing with Keaton, some of the stuff we mentioned earlier this week. For me, transparency and the perception of it, but also I've been harping about get involved in the elections so that you don't get stuck with a candidate you don't like. And the importance of that message now, we're going to see the results of when we just let things go by and not be involved. And again, it's hard, and I do not understand why politicians don't realize if they are perceived to be transparent, that works for them. If they are perceived to be corrupt, and a lack of transparency, a lack of a perception of transparency, it's easy for the public for them to be seen as corrupt.
But can I just say one thing then?
We're out of time.
Somebody fourth, do not go into the box with a number on your pamphlet.
Well,
do not.
I will just conclude. Thank you very much, Karen, Mr. Sheriff. Thank you very much, Sean Michael Small, and to all our directors.
I will be here tomorrow.
It's interesting. Democracy has now become a word which is just a guise for true intentions and actions. Democracy has just become a trigger word, ladies and gentlemen.
It might have been for quite some time.
And as I end this program, I will just wish you a great day ahead. I really hope there are no more disruptions this morning, and I hope there's no more unprecedented rainfall in today or the days ahead. And I really hope that the pumps are working and Minister Rohan glasses actually works, because it just looks like it's for fashion. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can, I plead with you more than ever, donate 1 can or donate 1 meal. It goes a long way this Christmas. It goes a long way this season. And even though we're singing it for Christmas, generally now, 1 can, 1 meal. Children love toys, they want toys. But trust me, if they can fill their stomachs, they'll be the happiest in the world.
That's true.
All are we in this together?
Come people, let me go.
All are we in this together?
Listen, we can make it if you try. Trinidad and Tobago is a beautiful place. I'll tell you why.
You're gonna bust out into song just now, Keaton.
Nah, listen. We all have differing opinions. We all have differing stances, just like our callers. But I always refer to somebody from Pittyville as my good friend. Karen and I have differing opinions, differing stances. But this is a beautiful thing. At times. We had a little disagreement this morning. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that is what makes us beautiful. The mere fact that we're intellectual enough to have these conversations, these debates, and still shake each other's hands when we walk on that pavement together.
And even hug up each other. But I don't know if you and Keaton are going to do that, but I can hug you all up.
Folks, we have to go.
I can hug you up.
We have to go, folks. I'm sorry. We will see you tomorrow. Bye.
WESN.
Christmas coming, here is all around. Christmas back in town. Christmas coming, here is all around.
Christmas is coming, and your fingers know it.
Christmas back in town. Christmas back in town. Christmas back in town. Oh yeah, I can feel Christmas back in town.
For a finger-licking good Christmas. KFC.
WESN's Game Day Minute, brought to you by KFC's Game Day Bucket.
That is the corner flag right there. I will be seeing Messi take a corner from right there. Okay? I am 10 yards away from, less than that. 7 yards, 21 feet. The place is unreal. We can see where $222 billion was spent. It is just a fantastic country. Okay? And the fans are enjoying it, really enjoying it. The food is great. The fans are, look at that picture. Okay? Look at that architecture. It's fantastic. Tell everyone in Trinidad that We don't really missing them right now. Because but they miss them a little later tonight. Have a good day. I will give you a little shot when the game is about to start. Right now, it's lights up, the lights are coming back on. And they're flamed by the World Cup. It's a fantastic sight. Fantastic. Watch this. That is how the next gun flash. Right here in front of us. And in the foreground, that's the Argentinian flag. It is unreal. 98,000 people strong. Unbelievable. Andre, the place has just erupted from that second goal. And Argentina, they are on a rampage. Alright, they are on a rampage. Right now. The stadium is unreal. There's decibels and decibels. 98,000 people erupting. Alright, and it just continues. That is the security right in front of us. Okay? The Mexican fans are very quiet, especially this one here to the left of me. Very, very quiet. I feel for him though, okay? But my buddy here is very happy, okay? So, the Argentina and some more Argentinian fans, play them, okay? We are done. Andre, inside of here is just fantastic. The young man behind me, okay? We have the match, Lionel Messi, okay? The man is just, he's a phenomenon. It's unreal what is going on inside of here. Unreal, okay? The fans, the stadium, everything is just fantastic. These are guys behind, okay? They're giving interviews right here, right in front of us, you know? It's just fantastic. Okay, I will give you a little update on when Brazil plays against Switzerland, because I will be in that match also. Okay, bye-bye.
WESN's Game Day Minute, brought to you by KFC's Game Day Bucket.
Christmas coming, here is all around. Christmas back in town. Christmas coming, here is all around.
Christmas is coming, and your fingers know it.
Christmas back in town. Christmas back in town. Christmas back in town. Oh yeah, I can feel it. Christmas back in town.
For a finger-licking good Christmas. KFC.
I am Karen Nunez Teixeira, number 9 of 11 siblings, born into a close-knit family. Many have tried to define me throughout my career, and even now, in this race for political leadership. I am a devoted mother of 2 children and adoring grand of 2 grandsons. My parents raised me to help those in need, appreciate and respect people for who they are, and treat each person with dignity. My father's watchwords were, "But for the grace of God, go I." These core values have been instrumental in the work of the Reach for the Stars Foundation, which I founded and which has provided direct scholarship grants, laptops, school books, and other educational assistance for approximately 100 young persons in our communities.
And my family, I'm always beefing them.
The newest book is here, Closer to the Church, the debut novel by author and former mayor Louis Lee Singh. Available at all the Home Store branches, Barataria, West Mall, Shogunas and C3 San Fernando. Paper-based bookshop 10 Nook Avenue, St. Anne's. WESN 30A Gattaca Street, Woodbrook. Metropolitan Bookshop, Ariapita Avenue, Woodbrook, and all RIK bookstores nationwide. Available online as paperback on Amazon.com and Kindle for e-readers. For more info, call 628-5835 or 389-6504. Also available from author Louis Lee Singh, I Used to Live in Heaven, Letters to My Granddaughters, and Local Government in Trinidad, Conspiracy Against the People.
Dear Santa, this year has been rough. Prices going up and with dust going down. So Santa, this year for iShare, we ain't asking for no toys and no gifts. We just asking for food and non-perishable items to help all the people who can't buy them.
Ho ho! That's very nice.
Hey, Santa, you here? You bring the stuff?
Oh, well, no. I just outside.
Santa, me and you go get where?
Well, I know reach.
Santa, watch me. Let's go and get a thing for me, please.
Who child is this?
iShare, the Devon Matthews Charity Drive is back, and we're asking for your donation of non-perishable food items to help those in need. Contributions can be made at Dev's Barbershop, Scrapes Car Wash, the Bocas Restaurant and Bar, or for more information, contact 724-8616 or 785-8238. iShare, brought to you by the No Youth Left Behind organization, the Lit Foundation, and the friends and family of Devon Matthews.
I am Rondell Donowa, and you are watching WESN, the content capital.
People really want to know, what about me? Where do I fit?
Yes.
What is in the ride for me in terms of a better Trinidad and Tobago? And I'm pleased to shed some light on that.
The purpose of bail is to ensure your attendance at court. That's it. It is not punitive, it is not rehabilitative.
We the police officers, we are professional and we are here for whenever the survivor is ready to come forward.
We have the right to private and family life, the right to religious freedoms and beliefs and thoughts and expression. But these rights are not absolute. Certain rights can be limited.
The law is to govern the whole, it's for all of us in public.
Today, we're going to talk a little bit about diseases that affect the ear, nose, and throat.
For allergic rhinitis, the treatment is usually probably a nasal spray, antihistamine, even steam inhalation or saline washouts of the nose, and so on. Patients always asking for antibiotics, and so the first line treatment is not antibiotics, just to clear that up.
I joined the Women's National Senior Football Team in one of their training sessions. And today I have with me Tamika Forbes, who is the gold star goalkeeper for the National Trinidad and Tobago Women.
What's up, Doc? Tuesdays and Thursdays here on WESN, Content Capital.
I'm Andy Johnson, and you're watching WESN, the Content Capital.